I'm Miriam Feinberg Vamosh, coming to you all the way from the city of David in Jerusalem. I want to tell you about the new novel I wrote together with award-winning author Eva Marie Everson. It's called Ahōti, A Story of Tamar. It takes Tamar, King David's daughter, to new places, literally and figuratively, and I hope the story will inspire you as it inspired us. Ahōti, A Story of Tamar, takes what might be one of the saddest stories in the Bible to places we could only go in our imagination. But as for where it happened, for that, we might be able to do more than imagine. I feel privileged to be able to tell this story today on the site where it may have taken place. In the early 2000s, the late archaeologist Dr. Eilat Mazar, excavating here in the city of David, found remains of a building which she believed, because of its large size, unusual design, and pottery and other finds, to be the actual Palace of David. First, let's see what the Bible has to say about Tamar's story. In the course of time, Amnon, son of David, fell in love with Tamar, the beautiful sister of Absalom, son of David. Amnon became frustrated to the point of illness on account of his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin, and it seemed impossible for him to do anything to her. Now Amnon had a friend named Jonadab, son of Shimeah, David's brother. Jonadab was a very shrewd man. He asked Amnon, "Why do you, the king's son, look so haggard morning after morning? Won't you tell me?" Absalom said, "I'm in love with Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister." "Go to bed and pretend to be ill," he said. "I'll take care of everything else." So David agreed to send Tamar to Amnon's house to prepare some healing food for him. And that began Tamar's downfall. As we know, when Amnon was sure he was alone with Tamar, he assaulted her. Back to the Bible. Then Amnon hated her with more intense hatred, in fact, that he had ever loved her. Amnon said to her, "Get up and get out." Her brother Absalom said to her, "Has that Amnon, your brother, been with you? Be quiet now, my sister. He's your brother. Don't take this thing to heart." And Tamar lived in her brother Absalom's house, a desolate woman. Come with me now back in time and imagine Tamar. Scripture tells us that she was the daughter of David and Maacah, a princess from the foreign land of Geshur, far to the north. She was beautiful. She was a virgin. She was the full sister of Absalom and the half-sister of Amnon, who raped and cast her out. She lived as a desolate woman in her brother Absalom's house. That's the last we hear of Tamar in the Bible. But does the Bible say that she lived there to her dying day? No, it doesn't. And so we can't help wondering, what happened then, and what can it mean for us? Our research has led us to understand that before Tamar's rape, the magnificent ceremonial robe she wore, which she tore in grief after her assault, may have been more than just a garment the king's daughters wore, but her badge of office, that she may have been a healer in her father David's court. What happened next? Of course, no one can know for sure, but one ancient writer who called himself Gad the Seer actually gave us an answer. His writings are actually mentioned in the Bible and were considered lost forever. But in a chain of fateful scholarly events, manuscripts, including the words of Gad the Seer, were brought from Cochin, India, to the University of Cambridge in the UK by the head of the Anglican Church in India. The Jews of Cochin, India, believed that they had received the book from the Jews of Yemen, descendants of the early exiles from the Holy Land. Recently, the Israeli scholar Professor Meir Bar-Ilan took upon himself the task of exploring every aspect of this compelling ancient work, and in 2015 he published the definitive book on the subject. Professor Bar-Ilan suggested to me that from the chapter in Tamar, as seen by the book Gad the Seer, I weave a tale for this generation. And together with Eva Marie Everson, we did exactly that. And as for imagining Tamar, now I'd like to read to you from our book, Ahōti, A Story of Tamar, that gives our answer. Another nightmare. I shook my head free of it and forced my eyes open. Perhaps today, this morning, I'd take that dream to the seer. Gad would know what it meant. Mara. I looked up, acknowledging my servant's presence, kneeling next to my bed as she did every morning. Wordlessly, she handed me my cup. The clay was cool in my hands. It brought calm, but the pomegranate juice it held burned as I swallowed, which told me that I'd been screaming again. Ah, so this was why Mara peered at me under knit brows, lower lip caged behind her teeth. Gratitude coursed through me that she was no ordinary servant, but someone closer to the mother of whom I had been robbed. Behind her lay my robe, the bright orange, blue, and green dyed strips woven among the wool's natural blacks, brown, and beige. The sweet scent of tiny, fresh-cut spikenard flowers Mara had placed in my slippers wafted across the room. Seeing these meant only one thing. The king has sent for you, my lady. I did not ask her why. Every day brought new tasks, many of them requiring my ceremonial robe. And today, to offer healing to a prince perhaps, a visiting dignitary, an ailing servant, my visit to Gad the Seer would have to wait. After splashing my face with water from the bronze laver in the corner that Mara had filled, I stood and raised my arms, ready to be dressed. The garment floated down to my ankles as she draped it over my tunic, seemingly lighter than air, belying the nature of the wool from which it was woven. I took courage from the symbolic geometric patterns that I myself had embroidered into the sleeved and flounced hems. The supple cloth swayed like a blossom in the breeze, the inner red and the outer purple turning into alternating stripes. I remembered, as I always did when donning the garment, the day my father told me he was commissioning it for me. Mara looped the sash around my waist, and I pulled behind the curtain over the niche where I held my healing herbs and picked up the little linen bags and tucked them into the folds of the sash. As Mara tightened it, I had another memory of my father. The day he had paraded his friend Hushai, grandly robed before me around the courtyard. "You'll have a robe more beautiful than Hushai and richer far than Joseph's," he'd later boasted when he gave it to me and declared me court healer. I knew all the ancient stories thanks to the seer. Gad had taught me that Joseph's robe spelled doom. That robe, given to him in love by his father, had sent him into the depths of a pit. And so I knew my robe would drag me into a place blacker and deeper than Joseph's ever was. But could there be redemption? For some intriguing twists and turns, I invite you to check out our book, Ahōti, A Story of Tamar. Ahōti means my sister. So for all my sisters and brothers out there, I invite you to check out Ahōti wherever books are sold. It will be available for pre-order soon and will be released in May 2024. We look forward to hearing from you.